Dr. Al-Rashid, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. I have a question for the audience. What does food security mean to you? Just for a few seconds, just think about that. And then how could others use that power against you? So let me start my talk here. My talk is about food security, Saudi Arabia. Food security is less about food and more about the threats of chronic hunger to individuals, governments, societies, and borders. Food security is then the political aspect of agriculture development. Achieving this security requires policy reform and investment reform on a multiple level. What is food security? Food security is fundamental to Saudi Arabia national security, a strategy necessary, and therefore it's a key part of Saudi Vision 2030. Today, I will discuss Saudi Arabia agriculture policy and strategy relation to domestic agriculture and agriculture investment abroad as we continue to secure sustainable food security. Saudi Arabia, along with other countries, has faced food security challenge during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of the challenges include a limited food supply chain due restriction caused by city lockdown, or limited government panic buying and food supply caused food shortage in some country. Saudi Arabia, we were lucky. It happened during the month of Ramadan and during the Hajj season. Supply are abundant, and we have the good supply for that. For example, Romania has put restriction in their cereal export. Vietnam has put restrictions on their rice export. So, in COVID crisis, as other crises, countries reviewed their food security. Saudi Arabia addressed the challenges and made food security as part of strategic crisis management. Saudi Arabia concentrated on the safety and food security of the citizen, aiming to boost local production to assume greater self-sufficiency in some essential items, to harassing the local agriculture technology sector, and when necessary, to import from abroad through various means. Saudi Arabia has taken action and realized success. Let me give you an example. One of the main challenges facing food security in Saudi Arabia is what? Scarcity of water. That is why Saudi Arabia banned growing forage and wheat. Just for your personal note, I was part of food securities back in the 80s. Currently, Saudi Arabia achieves self-sufficiency, dairy, fruit, eggs, and vegetables. Currently, Saudi Arabia agriculture provides 30% of the food consumption. Agriculture contributed to about $14 billion annually of the GDP. It's about 3.4%. The agriculture sector has provided jobs for less than 1 million people in Saudi Arabia. In response to the impact of COVID-19, Saudi food production strategy have included putting more pressure on local farmers to grow more strategic crops. However, the challenge is much bigger than just responding to COVID-19. Saudi Arabia will develop and depend upon new innovations and technology to achieve sustainable agriculture development. One of those new innovations might be vertical farming, which can be make from produce more accessible in the city limit on the lockdown. Going forward, we see that with increasing Saudi population, urbanization, and citizen changing food habit, the demand for food and food security is vital for sustainable economy of the country. And sustainable agriculture development is one of the best tools to enhance food security, alleviate poverty, and promote economic growth. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to receive your questions. For more information about myself, please visit www.tfrashid.org. Thank you again for listening. The floor is yours, Dr. Khalid.
Thank you.
Well, first, we got to look at two strategies here. There is two kinds of agriculture. There is the industrial agriculture, which is the state-of-the-art business. It's the second most user of technology after the military is agriculture. The second section of agriculture is the social agriculture, which is agriculture to help the people. Unfortunately, most of the political leaders, they're always busy talking about external threat, political problems, because that serve the military industrial compound, that serve the 1%. If you look at spending, it's easy to get loans from the international institution to borrow $1 billion to buy airplanes, but it's extremely difficult to get €1 million or dollars to build your own reserve for the food. So, as I said, agriculture is politics. The country, the best way to control any country is by their food. If we remember, the American, when they bombed Japan, they killed 500,000 people. But when the British, they blockade Northern Ireland, they killed 1.6 billion people. So food is the most effective tools to control the society. That's one of the reasons you control the food, you control the people, whether it is the international institution, whether it is the company country, or whether it is the local politician. Because unfortunately, most of the Arab countries, or in the MENA region now, they are very close to be a failure state, and they cannot provide the basic human need, which is food and water. And this is one of the reasons we need to talk more and more about it, and to highlight that not every day speaking. Thank you for this question. I believe strongly that it should be the helix triangle, which is the public sector, private sector, and the academia. This triangle, they should work, and they have worked on a many successful program. For example, urban farming in Yemen and in Jordan. I believe, and that's one thing that is I'm always promoting with the decision maker in Saudi Arabia and other GCC, we should not give money to politicians. We should always work with academia, and we should work with the private sector, that we should support, for example, urban farming in Lebanon, urban farming in Yemen, or rural development. However, the bureaucracy of government, with the corruptions of government, they really don't encourage those programs. But with the help of the academia, public sector, and private sector, we could promote. It's a very small amount of money we're talking about. For example, we're talking about, let's say, in Lebanon, it costs about $100,000 per village to promote social agriculture. And that's the kind of things that I am devoting my life to, because I believe that is every human being have to pay zakat, taxes on all his blessing, so we could help others. But we don't give money away to politicians. We give it as public, private, academia, working with those two groups, and we could target it the small stakeholders. I hope I answer your questions. thank you for your question. Personally, what I think is the best way non-government organization or philanthropist, what we do, the indigenous plant and the indigenous animals or bird. For example, the local chicken in Jordan, or the local chicken in Palestine, or the local chicken in Morocco or Egypt or Yemen, or the local sheep. That's where we can help the research and we can help to improve the life of those people. Yes, those local chicken will not give you the 900 grams or the 1 kilos. They'll give you maybe 400 grams. But that's the kind of support we can give to those villages on their local production, whether it is cow, animals, or whether it is birds, which is chicken, and it will be working. But it should be working only through the local university with other partner like non-government organization. Government organization would love to help you and to work with you when you are working with billions of dollars, and you know why. But when you're talking about $1 million, $2 million project, not so many people would help you. So my recommendation, we go with a small scale farmer, we go with the indigenous plant, indigenous bird, indigenous animal, and there is a lot of program. You are from Germany. There is a lot of the German programs they have supported in other countries, and it did work. I'll talk to you about my personal experience. When you invest in foreigner land, whether it is America or whether it is Africa or any country, agriculture is politics. When we started to develop a large-scale program to invest abroad, immediately they start to call it land grabbing. So we are stealing land. We went with a friend of mine's, we went and we invested in a huge project in the border between Arizona and California, an area called Pittsburgh. And we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars there. You know, if you look on the net, you will find hundreds of reporting Saudi Arabia stealing our water. So whether it is in America or whether it is in Sudan or any other country, agriculture is politics. Food is politics. And this is one major issue, because one of the major challenge, and if you go to my website, you will see a lot of research that I have done on this specific topics, is what law do we go with? Let's say I invest in Sudan. What law do we go to? Do we go with the international law? Do we go with Saudi law? Or do we go with Sudan law? Those things are not clear. And that's one of the reasons it's a very high political risk. Saudi Arabia have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Ethiopia. When Saudi deported the Ethiopian illegal immigrant, the Ethiopian government, they have rounded up 400 Saudis and they put most of them in jail for prostitution, for drugs, for all kind of, you know how it is, it's easy to fabricate anything. But it happened to be all these 400 Saudi investors in agriculture in Ethiopia, they were charged with something. So agriculture investment, it's a very risky. Should we avoid it? No. It's a must. It's a duty for the mankind that we have invest in other countries, especially the Muslim country, to develop the other country for the benefit of win-win situation. But it's extremely difficult. Talk to you about a personal experience for the last 40 years. Thank you, Adil. Thank you for my friend Adil for his question. Privatization, let me give it to you as a bullet point. Privatization, water desalination, aqua power, which is a good friend of mine, Mohammed Abu Nayyan. It's already as a joint venture, which is like a privatization. It's a multi-million dollars project. When we talk about Unfortunately, the Arab world, have exhausted all their capability to maneuver. I mean, they're already in a failure state, and their GDP to their loans is getting very, very high. So they're limited space to move. And it's not, honestly, it's not their priority for the low income, whether it is in America or in other Arab country. Their priority is the 1%, is not the low income. So they have to regenerate, reinvest in the system of how to improve the poor people. It's easy to get loans for $2-3 billion to buy weapons, but it's very hard to get projects and to go for social safety net. Safety net is very important. I mean, we could see, like, give you an example, Egypt, they just stopped now supporting the bread, and 70% of the Egyptian is below poverty line. So there got to be a lot of innovation before the Arab world collapsed 500 million people. We need to be innovative in the social safety net. I hope I answered some of your question, Adil. Saudi Arabia, and we were working on a program to support 1 million Syrian farmer, that it cost $200 for a family in Syria to grow 1 ton or 2 ton or 3 tons of wheat, only for $200, and that should get enough 1 million farmer in Syria to produce food for their family. If they have 1 or 2 tons, that they will give it. However, because of the political obstacle, we fail to deliver and to work with this. So that's another area of non-government organization could work and could help. So you could see it just for $200. That's less than a dinner, really, for a family to go out to support one family, which could support about 10 people in Syria. But we fail because of the political situation. It is one of the most difficult. For example, I'll give you an example. If I go and I rented from the government, or I buy even a land in Tushka, for example, or in Al Uwainat in Egypt, and then the country started to block me from my diesel or block the water, you know, which law do I go to? Do I go to the Egyptian law? Do I go to the international law? This is not clear, and this is, for me, it is one of the most obstacle against any investor. The subject we talked the least about, that's the subject we should talk all the time about. The basic human need, which is food, water, medication. Those are the subject which is government should take it as their top priority to provide. Food security is one of the main issues. So I think, in my personal opinion, that should be the main goals of government, not to all the time listen to all these, what they so-call the experts on the Middle East, always talk about external politics threat. They should concentrate on the requirement of the local requirement of the people's requirement of their food, requirement of their housing, of their medication, providing health services, providing the main basic human being. I hope I answered your question. Thank you.